Okay, then let's take a look at how we could start trying to tackle building this one in Alias. Now the nice thing is I have like a perfect representation of how the surface maybe has to look like or how I want it to look like, and try to use the native Alias curve tools, for example, to start creating my first kind of references. So I'm going to the profile layer and I'm going to actually I start with circle. Let's double click it and to segments. Okay. And basically the similar way how I built the Blender model here with all those sections, I will try maybe to do something similar in Alias. Okay, so I go maybe to this view, I hold Alt key and then snap it to the grid, move this one maybe up, click on the cube to scale it down till maybe I get maybe the width. And then let's go to rotate, click the object, circle, and along the y-axis 0 spacebar 90, enter. Let's move, and I can continue maybe scaling this a little bit, scale there, and let's go to side view, go to move, maybe somewhere there, rotate it, whoops, wrong direction. Yeah, let's go to rotate, select the menu, local, because then it's Z. Okay, so I'm gonna try for the moment to see if I have to position this curve here. And I can already see it's a little bit too big. So I'm going to scale this one a little bit. Maybe use the non-proportional scale, and I think left mouse button is along the Z, or sorry, the X axis. Oh, that's a little bit jumpy. How does it look on the top actually? Don't show me the hull. So this is too narrow or not tall enough. So I simply here now fine tune this one. Maybe with this value. Left mouse button changes, yeah, X middle. Okay, so what's actually 11? Okay, I think the piece was inverted. That was not good. So, okay, now that actually means the piece has to move up. So move also local, go there. And how does 10 look like? Oh, that's actually a pretty good fit. Okay, and then scale 16. Never mind. So that's the one, yeah. So it's going to top one so I can see till when it starts cutting through, and there it is. Actually, if I take a look at the top, now polygon modeling is nice and fast and easy, but for example, you see here wonkiness. Now that's, for example, polygons are really easy if you have something that's sloped like this, nice and smooth, but then also there you can get problems. You have to build a really good CV layout to get something like that done. So it also requires some skill there. Okay. And why did this one actually change? Oh, interestingly, I must have changed it by accident. So let's move this one back. Let's go to side view. Maybe 9.8. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, let's leave it this way. And then I'm taking this one, copy and paste it. Let's move it to here. It's down there. Let's rotate it. Whoops, wrong object. And where do I put this one? I'm going to whoa. Where did this piece go to? No, that's not where you should be. There. So you see also here you have a transform button for all those values, by the way, just to reinforce it. In object mode, N, there's a transform, there's a scale. You see there are actually a lot of similarities between those two programs, which is why I really like working with them together in conjunction. So then I have to try to move this one a little bit to where it should be. It looks like there. And then let's take a look at the scale. 12, 13, getting close. 14, yeah, okay. And then maybe the Z direction, 19, okay, 23, 22, okay, good, nice. Okay, so let's see. Could we, for example, solve this one with a rail? So I'm creating myself a curve. What degree do I have? Degree 3. I'm going to degree 5 here. And then 1, 2, and snap. Okay. And then I'm going to select those CVs, push them out, and try to sculpt kind of like this first arc I have here. So you see in Alias, I'm trying to break down the objects into logical parts. Also, this is actually maybe nice to show you a little bit of the difference in terms of, you see how simplified this curve is, and it's really nice and smooth. This is very easy to do. And with polygons again, you can by accident build too many polygons in and then it gets sloppy. So sometimes it's not always the best approach. And there, and one last one. In general, I really like sculpting at the beginning with polygons a lot in Subteam because it's a nice and fast method. But it requires a lot of skill and understanding to get good shapes as well. And only because it's easier doesn't mean it's going to be better. Sometimes it can be worse. So for example, here you see I need more geometry to sculpt this shell. This, for example, I could not do in Blender, to have one curve with less points and here one curve with more points. I would have to be able to add more loop cuts, and then I make my mesh denser. So this is, for example, here right now the advantage of more the mathematical approach of surfacing with curves. Okay, and let's take a look. Bring this one onto this layer, assign, and then let's go to rail, 2 rails, number 1, number 2, you and U. Let's take a look. How this one, oh yeah, 1, 1, spacebar, U and U. That's the way it should look like. And actually now let's compare. Do we get a similar shape? No, we do not. So maybe in this case I have to add actually another cross section in between. Okay, so let's do that. Let's delete this mesh, or sorry, not mesh, the surface. I'm going to copy this one, copy and paste, move it to somewhere else. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to set my pivot point to this part. Pivot point, Control Alt, slide along this edge there. Let's see, okay, there, okay. And then this grouped object, I go and say move, Control Alt key along this part. Yeah, kind of like maybe where we have the center part. Okay, then let's rotate this one along the z-axis, maybe this way. And there I can already see this is probably not really the center, so I have to move this one a little bit more. And move, and maybe there. And rotate. And scale. And I scale just the lower part first, and then I scale the other direction afterwards. Let's go back to information window there. So maybe 27. Yeah, let's keep it at the moment for 27, and then here, let's see, what about 35? Close 30. Yeah, let's keep 30. Okay, good. Now let's turn this one off and let's go to rail 2, 1, 2, 3, spacebar U and U, and kaboom, doesn't work. And we see an error because I did not really make this circle actually perfectly line up with my rail. So here they touch, there they do not touch. So what I have to do now is actually I have to adjust those cross sections. So when I show those CVs, they all snap there. Okay, and let me show you a simple trick. Here's Geometry 101. I, for example, make a new line snapping to this part of the curve, snap to this part of the curve. Then I go to Object, Extend, click on this one, move it out there. Why did I do this? This line runs through this point. They're all on the same plane, and it cuts or intersects this curve. So now I could go ahead and say, yep, also project intersections. So CV, those 2 points, move Alt Control along this line, and then see there is a red cross, there's intersection, and now those points perfectly sit on this path. But now those lines are not tangent anymore. Now I could either do this with a command or do some simple push and pull. So I go to side view of the graphic and, for example, say middle mouse, move middle mouse button and press Control. See, it snaps to this point. Right mouse button, move. No. Okay, hold on 1 second. Why doesn't it do it? Oh, maybe because it was, yeah, it was in local mode. So right mouse button, Control, there it is. Let's do the same here. Right mouse button there, middle mouse button there, and everything got updated. Sweet. Okay. Let's select everything. Let's go back to rail. So 1, 2, 3, spacebar, 2 rails, cross fingers, rail failed. So it's getting a little bit of a tough job for the software to force that surface with the resolution we only give it through those profiles. So you can see maybe if we can change this degree a little bit. So with the higher degree, we give it, of course, more geometry to work with, maybe more spans. And you see it doesn't really do much. So nope. Let's take a look maybe if we can and see with rebuilding the rails it already helped. So we don't have to rebuild everything, just along the rails. So technically speaking, it did not have enough of those cross sections to perfectly map it. Okay, now with this one done, let's take a look compared to Blender, and let's select our rail surface and rotate, and we're actually close. We see there are slight differences. There we can see, for example, where we're not on the surface. Now the question is, how far, for example, are we off? So let's take a look at the dynamic cross section, and let's rotate this one. Let's turn the visual clip on. Let's look. Okay, so you see, for example, our surface down here doesn't come down enough. Now, question is why? Probably because maybe here I didn't really use the same, in Blender I didn't use the same layout where the CVs are. So what I could do in this case is actually, let's go to here, rotate this a little bit. Hold on, I wanted to see where's my curve there. Persistent, okay. Let's select this curve, turn on the control points. Control points, okay. So I guess those CVs, I actually have to move down along the Z-axis a little bit. So move. See there? I'm actually getting closer. And let's take a look at the top. There, everything seems to be pretty nice. Maybe here, those have to go up a little bit. There, for example, there we can take a look at how the stuff looks like. Okay, so that's, for example, the way how I would do it. So let's turn this one off. Now here doesn't match and there doesn't match, so either I would have to push in some more cross sections, which however I don't really want to do, so I keep it at this. So now my next task is, how can I, for example, work on this section and build this one out. So let me see. So this is, for example, now where stuff gets somewhat tricky. In Blender, when you work with sub-D, it's all like one rubbery fluid surface, so everything flows together. And in Alias, or with basically NURBS, you really have not to only plan on how from the side, for example, those surfaces flow, but also, for example, from this view, how along here you have the flow. So that's why I meant before it's easier to have a computer model to see as a representation, and then try to visualize the alias geometry you have to project into it. Okay, let's go to a side view, and probably the same what I did up here I will do on the lower part. So select curve, don't show me those CVs. Okay, and then select object, this one, copy and paste, move. Okay, this one I leave global, local, and maybe here I move this one just local. So this way I can always flip between global and local, makes it sometimes easier. And let's go to here, rotate along the x-axis. Okay, now here this one will work better. Try to maybe position it there. And then I have to see about the scaling. Let's go to there and scale. I think this is to, oops, wrong one. 14, oh, that's a good match. 10. 11, spray me too big, yeah. 10.5. Okay, good. Copy and paste, move it over to here. Just make copy here in between, rotate. And I try to rotate this profile so it's kind of perpendicular the way how it cuts through that surface, obviously. And then let's go back to the scale, 8, maybe 12. Oh, that was 13. Oh, 14. Okay, and that remained. But you see, the style here is actually not the same. So I will have to adjust that at one point. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this now before I continue all this scaling stuff. So, whoops, U2, there, CV, there, move along the x-axis down, and U and U, x-axis up. Okay, good. And then again, this object, circle, which one was it? 6? Yeah, that's the value, but not the correct one yet. Let's go to a front view. Oh, it got somewhat rotated. Oh, here, that was a rotation. And there is a rotation, so careful about those things. Z, move it down. So I think they were getting close. Just to double check, how is this circle? 9047. Okay, that's fine. Okay, then copy and paste. Move this one over to here. Curve and rotate z-axis. Now, I try not to get very close. I want to have a nice big gap because there I'm going to put in a blend surface. So I move this one maybe to here, rotate. Maybe this way, and then scale, nope, don't scale. Okay, and then let's do the scaling. What's 9 doing? Oh, hold on one second. What happened here? Oh, my pivot point. Let's change that pivot point to center pivot point. Good. Why actually are you acting so funny? See how it's scaling? Didn't I say center pivot point? Yes, I did. So let's go to scale. There. Finally. Okay. Let's go to side view. Let's move this a little bit. Okay. Something happened there which I don't really like. I don't know if you noticed that. But the y-axis is not lined up with this plane. So this piece is going to create later a lot of problems. So I'm going to delete this ring. And I'm simply going to create myself a new ring here. Not a big deal there. I think Y. And yeah, okay. No, actually not Y. There. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Seriously? Okay, then let's do it this way before the software gets too cranky. Let's move it to where we need it to. There. Let's scale it. Let's rotate it. Let's move this one maybe a little bit there and scale. I want to see the CVs right now. So scale my object. Let's see. And then here, the Y direction, 8. Yeah, okay. I have to adjust this one. 14.5 maybe. Okay, let's leave it at this. Okay, so you saw I simply put down all those curves again. And now let's see, for example, what happens if we just skin those. So I'm not going to use a rail. Skin you, oops, skin you, you, and you. Let's take a look if, for example, this hits it, and it hardly really can. So, nice try, doesn't work. We need rails. Okay, so hopefully I should be able to draw this one more or less with a degree 2, probably not. So let's see. Go to move, push and pull. Let's see. Not really, because how these lines end here. So I need a degree 3. At the ends, I want the curve to bend more. So if you would continue this, it would flow into there. So let's go to there. Okay. Select this one, maybe do it there. Maybe one higher. Yeah, see now there it's actually it's already tricky to figure that out correctly. So maybe I'll leave it at this for the moment. So then I'm creating myself another degree 4 curve, accept. And move this one down and down. And I meant only to have a degree 3, of course. Okay, so there I definitely need actually 4. So move this one down to there and there and there. Okay. Good. Let's hide this one. What I need to do now is actually make sure that this arc actually here in the center first sits on it and then also is correctly touching the lower part. So I'm going to adjust my pivot point here, move to there, okay, and then show me my CVs, nice, and snap, making this line, extending the line, and I'm going to CV and move along this line till it intersects, and then this point to the side view. This one vertical? Oh, it was. Okay. I can just move those up, and that should be it. Okay. So let's make a small test. Rail. Okay, number 1, 2, 3, spacebar, U and U. See, for example, here it rails like crazy. Also failed, okay. And let's take a look what we have. Are we hitting it somehow? I think we're actually somewhat close. Yeah, to a certain degree. Okay, now the most interesting question is now how do we do the transition in the end? So fill it and say U to U. And definitely not this edge, so this edge to this edge. Wait. Wah, wah. Nope. Assign. I want to do this only with the surfaces, of course. But before I do that, let's deactivate those isoprams. They can sometimes get into your way. Fill it, U, and auto update. Let's take a look. I have the shape onto 1, so this is really important. Otherwise, you get kind of like bloop, kind of like flat parts. G1. Do I want G1? Nope. Maybe G2. Let's take a look how this one maps with the blender shape. Not really ideal. What happens if we push this one back to tangent? Yeah, it's So I see now this is the part where it's kind of tricky. Now this blend surface is driven basically via how those two surfaces are built and also how they end. So how does this surface flow to there and the blue surface flow to there? And then it tries to create the transition in between. So if, for example, site 1 I set to G2, yeah, and maybe here I set this one to G2, this looks a little bit better, but then of course it's actually not really matching my design as much. So let's take a look how, for example, all this looks with the section view, and maybe this is actually acceptable. There, for example, you see my surface is a little bit too big along all three areas. Let's rotate, nope, wrong rotator, this one, and let's go down. Let's take a look how that stuff looks there. Yeah, so there, for example, we're getting close. So we have a more squarish cross section down there, so I could adjust the control points for those curves. Okay. Well, let's take a look how this one feels actually just without the blender one, and oops. Wah, wah. That looks terrible. You can see that. So now we have to figure out how could we press this one further in. Now you see that's where stuff gets actually a little bit tricky. So let's show my profiles and let's select this object, show me the CVs, and for example, is that X? Yeah, nope, it's Y. Let's push this one out. Now you see I'm flattening that a little bit, so it's still a little bit better, but this looks like a terrible step. So technically speaking, the way how this surface, the top one, stops, has to, technically speaking, flow into here. So there has to be some sort of a nice and smooth continuous transition. Otherwise, it's going to look simply terrible. So so let's remove all the surfaces for the moment and actually try to evaluate what we have here. So I'm just going to create myself an EP curve on each of those midpoints, running through it. Okay. And then I'm actually creating another EP curve here, there, and then along those lines. Because I would like actually to check something out. So G2, you, there, and there, this one, and this one, this one, and this one. Okay. And then let's take a look how this one looks. Okay. So this is more or less kind of like what I need. And you see that the midline, how it pushes over. Maybe select all those curves, turn off the control points, and then let's take a look. And this is basically what I meant. We need kind of like the surface has to end this way so it can blend in between. So let's show our surface. Oh, did by accident, did I delete it? Oh yeah, of course. No, wait, isn't it there? There. There's the surface. Okay, and there we see the major problem. So the the rail surface at the end kind of like tries to stop here and tries to make a transition like this one. I don't know, maybe goes straight forward. That's the reason we have this dip, and this dip is completely messing up our blend. So this part we have to eliminate it, because those are the curves we somewhat need. So let's see what we can do with that. Oh, also there, this is maybe causing a problem. You see how this one pushes down? Yikes, also here. This is not really good. So properly what I will have to do now is I have to create some nice midlines carefully, and then properly I have to start cutting also my arcs into quarters. So I have a quarter rail, a quarter rail, quarter rail, quarter rail, and then I can blend between those. Okay, so let's try out that strategy. So those surfaces, maybe for the moment I keep, and everything here I copy and paste, put onto new layers so I do not maybe by accident mess up my original lines. Those I don't need at the moment. And I would like to have a line that flows that way. So one easy way maybe to get an idea is copy and paste this surface then onto this layer, and then that surface I'm going to split with the detach command. So detach this surface along here. Let's go to a side view, maybe press Control. Sorry, Alt key, which is the midpoint. So that's kind of like what it tells me where the midpoint would be. What's very interesting is actually how this starts here. So let's press spacebar. Let's select this surface and delete it. And here we can see actually how our our rail curve is kind of well, slightly off. So this one, let's change this to a degree 1, and let's, nope, come on, go back, degree 1, and then let's push and pull those CVs. Maybe here I move this one up a little bit, and you see I try to hit that original curvature a little bit. And yeah, do I go down? Maybe I have to go down a little bit. And let's take a look from the top view. That's going to be the most important one, how those curves make the transition that way. And yeah, they don't look too bad. For example, compare this one now here. That's my surface. This is my curve. So I think this one will work hopefully better. Okay, is this my EP curve, original one? Yeah, let's delete it. There, it's gone. Okay, good. And how do I do the next step? Because my tricky thing is now, how do I make those arcs perfectly touch each other? At this point, I think I don't really need those at the moment. Let's delete them. They're just confusing me, because we can mirror them back later anyway. And yeah, maybe let's try this one actually. We have 1, 2, 3 generation curves and 2 rails. I'm not sure if this actually could work. I have the suspicion it's not going to, but let's give this a try. So 1, 2, 3, spacebar along those 2 rails. And yeah, it's garbage. Okay. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen in German. Okay. So, let's see. I guess then we really have to start splitting. Detach this curve, Alt to the center, spacebar. Detach on this curve, Alt, spacebar. Okay, so now there are individual curve segments. And this one more time here, Alt, spacebar, so it's split. Now I have to make my line somewhat run maybe through there, or should I undo this one? Oh shoot, I can't. Well, okay, let's do it that way. So what I'm going to do now is the following. I'm going to create myself a new curve from there, and then let's see, click, and click onto there. Nothing, CV, this point, move it up. There, okay, and then I do it one more time here. Click, and there I need some more points because I'm probably going to align this one. So align G2, this curve now to this original curve. Okay. And then I might have to play with this a little bit. Oops. To push this one up. Let me see there. And then there I can maybe move this one to there a little bit. And then I have to do the top alignment. Whoa. Here, move out, which will help there. Move this one to there. And there, you see that actually wasn't too complicated. Okay, nice. So this curve, let's delete. And let's see what we can do. Let's go and do a rail. I know I have really no clue if this is going to work, but let's give this a try. So you and you and you. No, undo. 3, 1, 2, 3. Spacebar. This one and this one. Let's see. Oh yeah, it doesn't meet. First. Yeah, it's meeting there. Okay, so I can't go because this curve doesn't go till there. So undo, so I have to do it this way. Of course, you. Number 1. You. Next one, you and you and you. Next one, there, and there. I'm just currently right now only selecting the edges, so my profiles, not the surfaces. And let's take a look how this one, for example, looks like right now. And we see that this one pushes down a little bit better. Quick question, yeah, some tangency problems there, but I don't want to deal with that for the moment. I just want to see if my theory is actually going to work. So now I have to do the same down there. So detach, spacebar, detach, spacebar, detach, and spacebar. And then let's see, delete this one and CV. Snap to this point. 1, 2, snap to this point. And then let's sculpt this a little bit. so we have a better midline contrast to that terrible P curve we had first. Let's make another line here, snap to this point, 1, 2, there and there. So I have 1 and 2 points for G2 continuity, align U to U. Perfect. Let's maybe model this one a little bit. And now let's really cross fingers and save first. So we're going to do our rail first. So U and U, spacebar to there to there. Next one, this. Now maybe I go for the segment and there, and there and there. Hold on. For example, here, maybe I select Gen 1 is tangent. Let's check. It is tangent. Okay. So U to U and there on the edge. So now this is basically rail 2 should be. Can we do tangent? Okay. What about curvature? Okay, let's go with easier math for the moment. Okay. This edge to this edge, and then this rail to this rail. So Gen 1 should be tangent. G2 tangent. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, see? At least we'll go with tangents here for the moment. That works. Okay, so maybe in this case, let's update this one. G1, Gen 1. Oh, so hold on. Delete, because no, I tested it on here and it worked. So I can actually now do the same. So Gen 1 will be tangent. There's my surface edge, profile, and curve. Okay. Now the next one will be, come on, U and U, U, and now here that surface. So rail 2 is tangent. And the next one actually will be also Gen 1 tangent. So this to there, there, and there. Oh, there, see, I needed to add some more stuff to get tangents here right. But yeah, oh, looks okay. Okay. Now crossing fingers. Let's take a look at what our blend is going to say. Surface blend G2. Sure if I wanna, oops, undo. Go from the surface edge to surface edge. G2 and G2. Let's see, now I see some terrible things happening. Undo, so deactivate rail and say this, no, wrong one. This edge to this edge. Wow, really? Come on, no, please. Again, rail, blend, there. So from this surface edge to this surface edge, there, that's where it should be, and this surface edge to this surface edge. Okay, looks nice. And here comes a big question from the site. There it is. So much nicer. So you see, to get the good transition, we really needed to sculpt the side because we needed to have polygons, or not polygons, control points to force the surface into the shape I wanted it to be. Now that's terrific. This makes me happy. Okay, well, what's on this layer? Nothing. So, okay, let's select all the surfaces and move them onto that layer. Test serve. Let's do the symmetry. Wrong symmetry. Select a layer. Layers. Symmetry. Set plane. Click. Set. Look. Zebra. Blah. Yeah, that way I have a problem. Okay, so why did this happen? This shouldn't really happen because all our curves are actually kind of like set to be, our arcs are actually perfectly, how could I say that? Tangent to each other. So let's see if maybe if we click this one and we go rel 1 and let's say implied tangency. Next. If this actually could help. No, I do only implied here G1 because I think all my the circles I created when I split them, they, for example, let's hold on 1 second. Let's select this curve, turn on the CV. You see there's just one CV, kind of like doing the tangency. So this is actually positional, not positional, G1, which is why now for the surface I can't say, hey, do this G2, because my input curves weren't really set that way. So I hope here this also works. Rail 1 implied. Yeah, and there. Rail 1 implied. Next, let's do the same up here. So rail 1 implied. And last one here. Implied. Then the first one, lower segment. This is rail 1. And one more time here. Okay, let's take a look. That's a little bit better. Now, doing all the stuff, think about the sculpture in Chicago. That metallic shape. This is pretty much the same concept how you have to build something. Just the Chicago one is a lot more of headache. Okay, so far this actually worked out pretty well. This area concerns me. I don't like that area. So let's take a look at how our Blender model looks like. So you see that the Blender model pushes out more. And hold on, let's actually select nothing, the object, random color, so we can see it better. Okay, let's turn on the section view. Let's go maybe to there and there, rotate, okay, and show me the clip. Okay, so the Blender model actually is more rectangular. That's basically all. So you see our corners here don't push out as much. We have a more roundish shape, but otherwise actually we're close. So let's go up. Yeah, actually we're pretty decently close to it. Not 100% the same, which is really possible, but it would be painful. But otherwise, you see, we're getting to there. So, maybe we should try this one adjustment. And let's take a look at our curves, test profiles. Yeah, okay. This looks just nice. Yeah, okay. So test profiles to that side here, and I'm going to look at this and this and this and this one, and show me your CVs. So this is going to be interesting. Well, I have to make one thing sure first. If I work on one, I have to do the same with the other one, and I have to be careful I do not destroy how those curves, for example, blend into each other. So here, maybe move along the z-axis, push this one out. For example, maybe here we can do the same with that one and that one. Oh no, it's a middle mouse button. This object was rotated differently. There. Come on. It's pretty sluggish right now, the way how it jumps. And it jumps back. What the heck? Okay, you move. This is interesting. It always goes back a step. Okay, maybe overbuilt, so it snaps back. Wah, wah. Kind of silly, but okay. And let's do it this way. And for example, those points here, I move out to there. So you start seeing actually that I'm trying to build a more roundish, squarish cross section there. And then let's do the same actually with those points as well. Move along. Said here's the z-axis this time. Yeah, z-axis. So I don't understand why here now this works really well. On the other one, it was really a painful experience. Okay, cross fingers that the surface is not going to get super crazy. And now there, for example, you see how, for example, that actually changed the look. Let's see, maybe a different shading representation. Oh, this clay one is terrible on the Mac side here. So let's go back to the one. So there you can clearly see that this is kind of flattish. Maybe I turn off the symmetry. So from round, it gets more that shape and then goes back. Let's take a look at our Blender model. Let's go to here and section view. Let's rotate it. Visual clip. See, actually, we're pretty close here. Our surface down here is not as much, so maybe I can push some of these points back. But yeah, that would basically be now simply a task of matching that. So this basically covers everything in how to build a pretty nice representation of this model. So our only thing left is maybe this terrible thing here. So how do we do that? And I think it's going to be this profile, the way how it flows. This point has to go higher, so it pushes out more. So what does that mean? Hold on, let's go to the profiles and let me push in another CV there and there, degree 5, so we get a nice blend, align, zup, 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 zup. Okay, and actually I just wanted to check something in addition. Let's just use a normal blend tool. Okay, so I see both as a representation, and yeah. So basically, those curves already show you the problem. This gets flatter. It is a nice and round transition, but it is by far not really what we have here. So let's select those two and delete them. So how do we get this one? So that means actually if we want that, we simply might have to change now this curve a little bit. And show me your CVs. Oh, this is going to be not fun because I have to move this one up or maybe down. Show me the Blender model. Oh, you see now there, I can push this one out more, but then I get this problem there. So I guess actually to get this transition, I need more points. So degree 6, except so maybe this one actually has 2. Oh yeah, there it is. There we're getting closer there. So let's hide this one. Let's hide, that's my aligned curve, but I just want to have the, no, this is actually my blend curve. This is my aligned curve. Okay, let's take a look. So this pushes out a little bit too much. So now I have to see how I can manipulate this curve till I push it back and try to maintain kind of like that shape. Well, also means maybe this curve has to be changed a little bit. Okay, well, I'm going to do it only this way, there. So to prevent my surfaces now to go super crazy, you see those are dashed. That's because this point does not touch this line anymore. I have to turn off those CVs there, curve, show me my CVs, and I have to make sure those lines are on that curve anymore. So, but let me show you again the small trick to make sure that I do not deform my, my curve too much. So click on here, click, nope, click on there. So this is basically one end to the other end. I'm going to extend this line just again a little bit. Then this CV, I move really far away, and then simply I snap to that intersection. And now my next task is to make sure that this CV really is horizontal. So you see there it's off. Wow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on there? Now, that is not good. So this one, parent intersection. Is this a display problem? You see these lines don't really they're not really very correct. Go. Oh, whoops, hold on. Draw precision. Oh, properly, that was it. Ah, okay, good. So, crisis averted. Select the CV and move it to here. Move it to where it intersects. Select the CV. Now I go move, no, up and down. Let's select move and control, middle mouse button and control. So they're lined up again. I could also, of course, simply have drawn lines out and then snap those ends to it. This worked as well. Let's go back to our surface. There it's not dashed anymore. And now this is actually better. So you see we are actually getting to there. Now I could do the same with a little bit of manipulation on the lower curve. And yeah, okay, I will leave it actually at this moment at this point. The rest would really be simply fine-tuning and playing with those cross sections. But I hope that you started understanding the process of first kind of like the boundary outsides and maybe some cross sections, and then at one point I needed to pay attention to the midlines, and everything needed to be cut apart. And that's a very typical aspect actually in Alias, that you build everything then out of four-sided patches, which I mean honestly is actually pretty standard for NURBS anyway, but specifically the way how the tools are built in Alias, it forces you to follow that methodology, and it's more work, but you know, you see, you get also better results. Okay, so then let's in the next video take a look at the Y shape in the front. After having saved actually the screen recording, I noticed actually that there was one problem left, and I think this is appropriate to deal with it right now before we go to the next section. So what I would like to put your attention to is that we have a pretty linear, sharp rounded profile, less sharpish profile to a pretty soft profile. So, and they blend along this direction. Now you see this surface flows this way, then bends through here, goes down to there. So that's actually quite a lot of stress that we're putting on the surface. And if we check some of our tangencies, nice, 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 and oops, doesn't work. Okay, so let's see maybe how we can fix this. Let's check this one. And what do we have? Maybe there's an ability to change this with the explicit control. 100 of spans, degree 8, nope, doesn't work. Also, while we're here, another thing I wanted to point out, maybe if you want to change the shape here a little bit. Okay. And let's do this even a little bit more. Let's make it more aggressive. And now the continuity completely broke because this surface, as you can see, blends in there, not along this curve. So what we're going to do, we're going to delete that blend, and I would like to put your attention to maybe this tool. So that's actually kind of like the surface blend, where you can use also a profile. So we blend along this and this edge. spacebar by using this and this profile. We turn explicit control off. You see it's kind of crazy. So I turned this one on because I wanted to give it actually a lesser geometry. So let's take a look how maybe this one looks. And yeah, let's check this one. Nope, doesn't work. What about, yeah, positional? Well, it doesn't really work G1 because you can see it just totally lumps out there. So also not really a perfect idea. So the problem is that this blend curve I have in the back is maybe causing a little bit too much stress. So let me select this curve. It's actually here, this one. And I have to change maybe the strength of it. So let's select the curve. Degree maybe 2. And let's check this one. No, it still doesn't work. Okay, so it's a pretty quick, not quick, tricky thing that's happening there. And maybe, you know, what we can do instead is simply, well, instead of using the blend surface, what about actually we maybe use simply our align tool. So I set this one back to degree 5, maybe degree 3, 2, yeah, degree 3. Okay, and I'm creating myself one more and another one. Whoops, stop. Snap. God damn it. Okay. And there. And then we have, oh, some of those things. Okay, that's the reason why sometimes I don't like using this one. Okay, it's a little bit more tricky to use, and I feel like doing this simply with some curves is a little bit more work, but I feel like I have more visually control over it. Okay, degree 5, accept, and then we do an align U to U, lower rail, okay, U to U, that one, okay. And maybe let's do this one more time also here and there, degree 5. And align there, there, and there, and there. There you see, for example, that the blend curve gives me a different look than actually my align tool. So I can use actually the blend tool, or the blend curve, sorry, simply as a helper to maybe massage my transition here a little bit there, and then delete it. Now this one looks a little bit obviously too flat, so there, push this one out, and there, and maybe here a little bit there. Okay, one last time at the edge, there, there, 5, spacebar, align, oops, no, not offset. Okay, there, and then let's fine tune this a little bit so it starts looking kind of like our blend curve. Okay, so having this done, let's actually, you know what we can do? we can probably simply go back and do the same rail stuff. So rail, and then Gen 1, Gen 2, that should be all tangents, so generation rail, applied positional, okay, and then Gen 1, Gen 2, implied, and then here actually we say tangents. Okay, nothing breaks, and that is good. And let's take a look. And you see, oops, stop. That transition actually looks much better than the blend surface. You know, the interesting thing is essentially all these surfacing commands create the same geometry, a four-sided NURBS patch. But you see the results sometimes can be different. Now I have a lot of spans on the surface, which means 6 and 2, it's maybe not really super good. So if I maybe turn on the control points, you can see how many points they are. Maybe I select this object, control points. See, this is nicer. Now just imagine you give this one later to somebody and then they have to make some macro adjustments. If you have few control points, everything will work better. If you have a dense mesh, to smooth everything out is going to be a pain. So they're not going to do that, which is why for manufacturing, you always should try to have really the least amount of points as possible, because it will make later adjustments, but also manufacturing actually easier. But you know, we have a MakerBot, so for right now, this is good. Okay, so that was a quick rerun of how, for example, maybe to change that shape. Let's maybe still compare it to our Blender model. Let's see how we are doing. Let's select the Blender model, give it a different color, because I would like to see how we are doing with our curvature up there. And there and there. Okay. Okay. There we miss it a little bit. But actually, you know, you see we're pretty spot on. Okay, so I think this is now really at the stage where we simply could leave it.